Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has some of the greatest tracks ever made, which begs the question, which ones will return for Mario Kart 9? I went through all the tracks that are new to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and ranked them from least likely to most likely to return. To be on the list, it must be a track that made its debut in Mario Kart 8. There are 28 Nitro tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So let's start with the ones that are least likely to return. And if you stick around to the end, there is one track that you wouldn't expect in a certain tier, and I'm really excited for you to see that. Starting off with the ones that have nearly no chance of returning, we have Mario Circuit. Now this is a very simple track, and it is competing with many other Mario circuits to get added to Mario Kart 9. And personally, I don't think that this is the best Mario circuit that they could choose. Number 27 is Mario Kart Stadium. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is a bad track, but it is made to be a tutorial track, hence why it's the first track in the game. I am certain that Mario Kart 9 will have its own tutorial track and will probably not reuse this one. 26 is Excite Bike Arena. Now, I know that this is a very popular track, but I think it isn't a creative one. Normally, the returning tracks are the most loved and creative tracks. But for Excite Bike Arena, I don't really think it meets these standards. Number 25 is Animal Crossing. I put this course here because it's pretty basic, and all it has is a few jumps and turns. Also, it doesn't really have any anti-gravity, which I think most of the returning tracks will include for Mario Kart 9 that coming from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And that wraps up the no chance section. Now I would be very surprised if any of these tracks returned for Mario Kart 9. But next we have 6 unlikely tracks. And the first unlikely track is Rainbow Road. Now, this isn't the most liked Rainbow Road. It's also got a lot of other Rainbow Roads that it's competing against to get added. And personally, this course isn't the best choice of Rainbow Roads. Number 23 is Hyrule Circuit. Now, this is a creative track, but it's quite simple and doesn't meet the requirement of loved and creative. And I think for a track to return, it has to be loved and creative. This track is creative, but people don't really like it, so it's pretty unlikely for Nintendo to add it. Number 22 is Water Park. Now, this is a very creative track, but quite simply, it isn't the most loved track, just like Hyrule Circuit. Number 21 is gonna be Bowser's Castle. This course is a very technical and fun track, but it isn't the most creative, but still has a chance to return. I honestly like it, but I'm not sure about what Nintendo thinks of it. Next up in number 20 is Dragon Driftway. And I'm not about to say that this is a bad track. And it actually is a cool track in my opinion. But once you've played it a few times, it starts to get boring. The track is good and all, but actually racing on it, what Mario Kart is made for, is not the most fun. So this track could return, but probably not. The last track of the unlikely section is Super Bell Subway. Now, I honestly like this track and it is very creative. So why is it unlikely? Because all the other tracks are just even better. Now that finishes our unlikely selection of tracks. Now, these tracks are fun and creative, but not enough. Still could return though, but I would be surprised. Now moving on to number 28, and this is where it gets controversial. We have the maybe category. Now these tracks are likely to come back, but not in comparison to the other ones. So they might come back, and they're good tracks, but it would still be surprising. 18 is Sweet Sweet Canyon. This course is not a good one in my opinion, and I'm sure yours too. Comment down below if you agree. There's just nothing too unique about this one. But it still has some anti-gravity, which I'm sure Nintendo will use in Mario Kart 9. Just like Mario Kart 8 used Mario Kart 7's special mechanic, gliding. But still, I think Sweet Sweet Canyon could return, but probably not. Number 17, we have Mute City. Now, this course is a great track, and I'm sure you agree. But when looking at its potential for returning, there is one problem. there is another F-Zero track, Big Blue, that I'm sure is more likely to return because it's a fan favorite. I'm also pretty sure that Nintendo only used one F-Zero track in Mario Kart 9. And I'm not sure which one it will be, but probably not this one. Moving on to number 16, we have Wild Woods. Now, this is a good track, but remember, this is the maybe category, so there's still a decent chance of it returning. 15 is gonna be Toad Harbor. Now, I probably should have put this one at a more unlikely rank, but the reason I put it here is simply because it's pretty fun to play, and could return, but it still is very basic. Number 14 is Bone Dry Dunes. Again with this one, I feel like it's not that bad, but unless they give it an upgrade, I think it's pretty unlikely, just considering all the other tracks that could return. For the last track of the maybe section, we have Ice Ice Outposts. Now this is a great idea for a track, but it isn't executed very well. I still put this one in a pretty high ranking because they could use the same idea but improve it a lot. And that ends the maybe category. Any of these tracks could come back, but they would have to get a bit of an upgrade. If you've made it this far, make sure to subscribe and comment your rankings in the comments, as I put so much work into these videos but don't get as many views as I'd like. If you comment something, it will help recommend me to get more views. Thank you. Anyway, now we have the likely chance of returning tracks. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if these tracks return. Number 12 is Twisted Mansion. Now this is a very iconic track for Mario Kart. That said, this track is pretty likely to return. Next up is Swamp Ruins. Now, keep in mind that these are the likely tracks to return. This track is very iconic, but it isn't the most loved one. It is very creative though, which is why I ranked it this high. Now for the top 10 tracks, and in number 10 we have Cloud Top Cruise. Now this course is a creative one, although we do have other sky tracks like Sky Garden. If it didn't have tracks to compete against, I would rank it higher, but Cloud Top Cruise is still definitely a possibility. Number 9 is Sky High Sunday. Now this is another sky-based track, but with an extremely creative theme. This is possibly the most creative track on the whole list, and it's pretty highly rated by the Nintendo fans. So why is it in number 9? Because it's a simple oval-shaped track, which is pretty boring, but it still could return. Coming in at number 8 we have Electrodrome. Now this is another creative course, but it isn't the most loved track. Still, I think they could add it. Number 7, Dolphin Shoals. Now this is not the most creative track, but it's a very fun track to play, and at no point is boring. You start off with the tricks, and then the pipes, the eel, the turn, the glider. There are many interesting parts of this track, so I think that this could return. Number 6 is going to be Shy Guy Falls. Now, this course is very unique. It's so fun going up and down the waterfall, and it's also pretty creative, so I definitely think it might return. Number 5, Squeaky Clean Sprint. Now, this track is very cool, fun, unique, and creative course, and is loved by most people, not including me. But even though I don't like it, I think Nintendo does, and it's not all about me, it's about the most likely tracks to return. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo likes it, giving it a very likely chance of coming back. Finally, it's time for the last 4 tracks, which I'm sure at least one of these is going to be your favorite. These are the most loved and creative tracks, and in my opinion, these are the 4 tracks that I think will return to Mario Kart 9 from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm pretty sure that there will only be 4 returning tracks coming from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 4 is Sunshine Airport. This track has got to be added to Mario Kart 9 because it is very creative and an idea executed perfectly. There's just constantly new routes and paths to explore. You can go through the plane, take a shortcut, or even see the aeroplane taking off, giving it a very, very likely chance of coming back. Number 3, Mount Wario. Now, this is not the most creative idea, but it is very loved by the fans and is also very fun to play. There's a cave section, a tree section, and even a part where it feels like you're skiing down a mountain. There's just constantly something around every corner on this track, and at no point is it boring. Therefore, I think this track will probably be brought back. Number 2. But first, can you predict what number 1 will be? Number 2 is Big Blue. Even just the music to this track is extremely exhilarating as you zoom down the water on the track. The track winds, bends, and uses so much anti-gravity that I'm nearly certain it will return for the next Mario Kart game. And finally, number 1, which I am certain will return, is Yoshi's Island. Now, this is a track you probably weren't expecting, but this track is actually from the Booster Course Pass, and it's one of the only good tracks from there. This track isn't personally my favourite track in the game, but it certainly is the type of track to return. The idea and creativity on this track is insane. Even just hitting this flying question block thing is so fun. Overall, if this track doesn't return, I have no idea what Nintendo is doing. So, what do you think? How would you rank them, and what would be number 1? Let me know in the comments to help this video get recommended, since I am a channel trying to grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.